All right, welcome back to our Simple Healthy Life podcast, where our goal is to have real, insightful conversations on topics that we find interesting. And I guess we should add with people that we find interesting.
Good addition.
And we have, today we have Courtney Beadling here with us.
Beadling,
She's definitely one of the people that I find interesting. I'm excited to kind of dive into your journey through fitness and nutrition. I do want to hear a little bit about how you got into raising chickens.
Okay.
I'm not sure where to start because I think there's a lot of interesting aspects to the stuff that I know you do. But let's talk a little bit about where you started your love for fitness.
Okay. So that's a ways far back now. It feels like a lifetime ago, right?
Yeah.
I've been doing it for so long and I'm so invested. So probably about late 15. So like right around 2016-ish. A friend was just like, hey, join me for a kickboxing class. And at the time, my boyfriend had shipped out to sea a lot because he went to Mass Maritime. So I was like kind of just bored at home, like, okay, sure. Now, I was just like a treadmill walk for a little bit, always intimidated, like never wanted to be around weights or anything. So this was like totally different. And I went and I just fell in love with it. It was like instant. I definitely remember
love at first sight type stuff.
kind of like at the end, I'm like on the floor, like huffing and puffing what just happened, right? But it just, I don't know. It just hit me like a wall of just, I don't know, just euphoria, I guess. Like I just felt like, wow, this is so life-changing just by even a first, like maybe couple of classes. The first one, I mean, I was like shaking, like what did I just do? And I didn't even feel like I exercised though. So to me, it was always exercise was either sports, which I was never into, never got the chance to be in sports, or torture. Like just on the treadmill, running for hours on end and just boring. And health was never in my family at all in any aspect, quite the opposite. So to me, it was always like the sports were for like the rich kids and the snobby people. That's what I was raised to think and believe. So then when I exercised and I did a workout, I was like, that was a workout? I just had so much fun. What do you mean? And it was such a release. So that's what kickstarted, no pun intended, but really that's what kickstarted all of it. Because I'm like, if I feel this way about sports and working out and exercise, and I just fell in love with an exercise, other people must, right? So I talked to my other friends, other friend groups, got them all in, and I just saw the transformation go through all of us. And I'm like, wait, how come more people don't do this? I don't understand. Like, then all of a sudden months go by and I'm like, how is this not everywhere? How does not every adult do this? So yeah, I just flourished. And then I quit my desk job. I mean, I was only in my 20s, so I could kind of do that. Yeah. Now, 30s and with a kid, I'm like, well, you can't just walk away. But yeah, it was like this desk job was soul-sucking. And I knew, I'm like, I'm too young for this. I was working with a bunch of like older women, and they were going to retire within the next 10 years. And just the misery and the sickness that I saw them go through, I was like, this isn't for me. I need more to keep me going mentally and physically. So, yeah, like I said, I got my friends to join. That brought me joy to see them change and to see them go down a healthier path. I was eating better naturally because if you're going to do a workout like that, you know if you just ate and drank like crap the night before, you're paying for it in your next workout. So, yeah, I loved watching their transformations. Like, and it wasn't even my gym remotely at all. Wow. So that's kind of what started it.
So then how soon after did you get into Krav Maga?
Probably about a year. Yeah. So I did kickboxing the first year. Again, it was more so just the surprise that fitness could feel that good, that empowering. Like it was any sort of unhealed tension I had. As soon as you start hitting the pads, it just goes away. Yeah. You know, whether it's stress, like when your current situation, work or whatever, even being young, you know, I was still working and stuff. that financial trouble, anything, it just disappeared somehow. So I'm like, and it was just so empowering, like as a female to be like, no, punch that as hard as you can. We want you to, you know, to see, I guess, anger and emotion twisted in such a positive way was just like mind blowing for sure. So I did that for about a year, and then Krav Maga came in because the instructor, it being the same school, had said, hey, you know, you're clearly loving this. You're bringing all your friends here. I really think that you would like this self-defense class or the self-defense course. He did a women's only seminar, so it felt to me very safe, a good intro to it. Because there's like, it's, for those who don't know, Krav Maga is a mix of martial arts. So you've got Muay Thai thrown in there, you've got Jiu-Jitsu, you've got people on the ground with you, people holding you, you know, it's very self-defense based if you're going to be attacked on the street or something. So you want a safe space for that, right? You want to make sure that nothing's going to be triggered, right? So he's like, it's all women, it's going to be free, I'll be there, the faces that you already see are going to be here. And I loved it. I thought it was great because you could learn the things like those oh shit moments of, I hate to say it, but being a female, the chances are that if you're attacked on the street, you're going to end up on the ground and they're going to end up on top of you, right? So when I did the free seminar, I felt like, okay, I need this. This is a tool. I need to get better at this. This is something I need to learn. So then I did that for probably like 3 years after that, and eventually got my black belt in it.
So humble. And then I just got my black belt. All right, so I have questions.
Go ahead.
I want to at least just understand. I got to know you over the last year or so. This version of you that is so evolved from 2016, and I want to go into what happened next, how you got into nutrition and how you got into coaching. But I want to back up for a second. You said something kind of like that sports was, you know, for not for you, and fitness wasn't for you, and you said kind of you were raised far from that field or environment. Like, can you kind of tell people, or if you don't mind talking about like kind of that transformation and like where you were before? And the genesis for my question is, I see you all the time. I see you in the gym empowering, and people are looking up to you consistently just as who you are. And one of the things that I say all the time is people don't really respond to what you say, they respond to who you are. And I can tell that you are genuine in your love for this stuff, but I just assumed you always had it. So now to hear now that you didn't, that it was like, you know, that you something you discovered, I'd love to just kind of know a little bit about what happened before. Yeah.
So to kind of backpack off of, I don't want to be rude by saying like that's how we saw, you know, kids in sports, but that's how it was. Truthfully, we weren't brought up in the best environment. A lot of, almost everyone in my family suffers from addiction, mental health, that they don't take care of. The women especially are not, they're tough. They're tough, very tough. If, you know, they get fired up, they get fired up, right? The McPhee blood is very tough, but they're not strong necessarily. So I would see that, you know, like, yeah, okay, yelling and screaming, but at the end of the day, you don't respect yourself enough to not eat like crap or to not go for that next cigarette or, you know, whatever their addiction, their vice was, to pick up the bottle, or they weren't strong in the sense of like, this isn't good for me. Crossed their path, different story. So it was just toxic all around. And I now look back and I'm like, oh, a lot of the insults towards people in sports or people that were healthy or people that might have had more money was them not having the confidence in themselves and knowing that that's something they don't have or don't have the courage to go get. So yeah, it was always like, oh, well, look at them. They think they're better than us because they have X, Y, Z, or they took this opportunity, and it was really bad, honestly, to be raised in that. And that's where my head went, was, okay, well, if they take care of themselves, or if they're like a good person, if they can like laugh and joke and go for a run and they're happy, then that must mean that they are bad or they're privileged because they're able to do that. All of the men and women in my family, that's how they viewed most people. So to me, it was really hard to then look at fitness or food any other way, right? That's what you're grown into. That's the atmosphere. And seeing women treated so poorly, essentially, to accept the things that either their husbands did or that society had told them they should be, or, you know, any of that. It was just portrayed. And so that was my example, was you're supposed to, or you marry into, or you get in a relationship with someone who treats you like dirt, because essentially that's all you're supposed to accept. The confidence really wasn't there to change or break the cycle. Definitely not, because then you were looked at, oh, well, you think you're better than us, you know?
That's super interesting. Actually, I'm glad that you pointed out that comment. Sports are for rich kids, because I picked up on that too, and it's not something that you'll often hear. And I was talking about this I don't know, the other day, which could have been between yesterday and 10 years ago. But yeah, I mentioned how you actually need to be somewhat well off to play sports. Like it's a reality of the situation. And whoever I was talking with was like, I don't really understand that. And I said that, well, I mean, you have to get to the doctor's office. You have to have regular physicals. You have to have them sign a blue card kind of thing. You have to have rides to and from school, or if you're probably not within walking distance. So it kind of is the situation where you kind of have to be a little well off to play sports. And so it's very interesting to hear that, very relatable, because I didn't have access to that kind of stuff either, just because of the family stuff. So yeah, I just appreciate you kind of bringing that point, because a lot of people don't think about that. And then to transition out of that, yeah, it takes a lot of effort. It does take the challenging of those self-limiting beliefs that we often talk about. So yeah, so well done on that front.
Well, they still creep in there.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, it was I know you guys had talked about transformative moments, and when I listened to that, I have 3 that came to mind immediately.
Oh, wow.
And you would think most people would be like, oh, when I got married, or like when I had my first child. But truly mine was meeting my friends in high school. Like, because I was able to get out of, now I grew up in Middleborough, and I thought, I'm going to Middleborough High School. I'm going to follow the boyfriend, right? That's what always happens. I'm going to follow the boyfriend. He knows what's best at 14 and 15. So that's where my mom said, no, you are going to BP. Now, mind you, I already told her I wanted to go. I had changed my mind because of the boyfriend. So she said, no, we did all this work to try to get you to go to Bristol, Plymouth. That's where you're going to go. So I went to go to Bristol, Plymouth, and that was it. I now was able to see that what healthy people looked like. Right. And they're good people. They're not snobs. They don't think that you're better than them or they're better than you. They don't view you as lower class, but I was taught that they do, that, they must look at us like, we don't deserve XYZ. And my best friends to this day, they're still my best friends, are so humble. They know that they have the boats and, they went to college and they have all these things that I didn't. They have the normalcy, married parents, not chaos, addiction's not in their family, but they don't see me like my family, So that was the first transformative moment. I met them, and that wrote basically everything else. If I hadn't have met them, I tell them all the time, they're probably crying. It's okay. But if I hadn't met them, I would be in the generation. I would be in that cycle still. There's no way I would have been able to break it if I hadn't met them.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk a lot about, and I say it all the time, like you develop who you are between the ages of all the way up till 12. The argument is out between 7 and 12, but you to kind of develop this, and there's nobody there. There's even if you have the luxury of having somebody there that you're able to talk to and say, hey, I feel this way or feel that way. There's nobody in your bed with you at night. There's nobody laying there next to you going like, it's okay that they didn't want to play with you. It doesn't mean you're not a good kid, right? There's nobody there. So to hear that even that there's truly just like that you're not only was there nobody there, but they kind of were leading you down this self-destructive path, and then you had the ability, you found the universe, whoever found a way to put this stuff in your path so that you could change your stars is pretty incredible to me. One of the things that we had talked about pre-podcast was the way that it seems to happen where the universe does something, you recognize it, and then you start learning, right? Like it sounds like you just showed up at this kickboxing class. It affected you mentally just as much as it did physically, and then you just started learning, right? And then it sounds like you transitioned that into nutrition. You want to talk a little bit about how you how you got into like the nutrition aspect of coaching?
Yeah, sure. Well, that's when nutrition started to stand out. Probably for me personally, I didn't really get certified in nutrition or anything until I realized that that's probably the hardest aspect of changing your life at all is nutrition. But for me, yeah, that was when it was like, I can't eat, and drink the way that I was or that I was brought up this way and still be able to be good at martial arts. There's just no way. You can't. And I started to realize and look into the mental aspects of it too, was that if you eat like crap, you're going to feel like crap. No matter what you look like, you're going to feel that way. So it more so became about the mental release than anything, to work out efficiently and to eat well. And then later realizing, okay, I can't be alone here, And once I got into training clients, it was always nutrition was their biggest struggle. Always, hands down. Male, female, young, old, nutrition is the hardest thing to conquer. Working out, it's about an hour, maybe two, right? Nutrition is all the time. And we put so much emotional connection to nutrition that, again, you're going back to physical and mental health and how they coincide. So yeah, I noticed nutrition and how it affected me, but I didn't branch out to that for quite some time until actually most recently on how to coach people through it, because it's not easy. It's not as easy as, just eat the apple over the chips, right? It's so much harder than that. So to learn how to navigate people is more like it. It's not so much navigating nutrition, but it's navigating how to teach people nutritional ways and habits.
Right. Yeah. Understanding each person's own kind of barriers to that, because it's funny, when I work with a lot of people, obviously, nutrition is a struggle, but the movement, in fact, becomes the hardest thing for them in a lot of ways too.
Funny.
So it's like a lot of people like operating out of gyms, of course, like. For whatever reason, the movement side of things tends to be a little bit easier, and nutrition, takes a back seat. But then, operating out of the office or whatever, they're going and tackling a lot of the nutrition stuff. But then the cross the barrier to get into the gym atmosphere is really hard. And so you're just recognizing that, yeah, everyone's a little different, but to break free from some of those lifestyle kind of habits that are cultivated from such a young age is really challenging. And sometimes, all it takes is like the one class, right? And I would probably say that, you meeting the friends is a kind of a transformative moment, but also you showing up to that one class kind of, for all intents and purposes was super transformative too. And mundane, like it's a kickboxing class, right? But it meant something to you, and I was like, it's interesting to hear about.
So that's actually the third one.
Yeah, okay.
That's my third transformative moment.
All right, what's the second one?
The second one actually is not so positive. Well, it is in its own regard. But actually twice, how you find yourself here 2 times is a whole nother story. But when I was 14, again, addiction and mental health not being the strongest suit of my family, I found myself my first abusive relationship at 14. Wow. It was more so emotional than it was physical. We're 14, right? He's living at his parents' house. I'm living at mine. My mom wasn't really She didn't really know. She could hear the phone calls, and again, this is 2004, so computers weren't really. She couldn't just log onto my phone and see my Instagram messages, right? So she could hear me at the top of the stairs, and she could kind of see some patterns, and which is why she wanted to send me to a different high school, because she could see it going down a not so good path. Because again, abuse and stuff, all kind of present or in history, our family history at that point. So she could kind of see it. So she sent me to my high school. And therapy, she did put me in therapy and stuff. So we did that work first. And then I met my new group of friends. And I thought, okay, this is my chance. A lot of mixture in between. And at 17, 18 was when I don't want to say actual, but the domestic violence came. And that's when we were living together. It was not only emotional, mental, but physical as well. Lived with him for a while. Cut all ties with friends, family, my mom. Some of the family, it was good to cut ties with, right? So I kept those ties cut. But all of my friends, it was nothing but go to that one job, come right back. Everything is monitored, checked, whole nine. And then just one day, I mean, I can get into the details, but one day it just quite literally and figuratively hit me that he doesn't care whether I live or die, Thankfully, I've never been to the hospital, or I know there's a lot worse situations out there. But it was in that moment that I took off in my car, and the windows were all frosted, it's New England. It was February or something. So yeah, I can give you guys that picture of what that looks like if you don't let your car defrost. And I'm driving, and I'm like, I can't see a thing at all. Wow. And he knows that. He saw me get in the car and take off. And that day I called my best friend. I still had her number stashed away. Called her. She called my mom. My mom picked me up from work. And that was it. So that was the probably most transformative moment, I'd say, because I just decided to leave. There was a few back and forths within that time period that I did kind of go back. You think you didn't do the right thing, right? There's the whole mental side of it. So I did go back to see him, or he would use things against me. I have your things. You have to come get them. Then manipulation did work a time or two. But my mom kept me out of there. And because I had gone to therapy before, I was like, I know what to do. Called the therapist. I need to work through this. I need help here. And then when I went to the kickboxing class, in therapy, I had made the promise to myself I would never go through that again. Never. So then my friend asks me to a kickboxing class, and I find, oh, wow, striking gives me this mental benefit. I guess I'm working out because I'm sweating my ass off. And this can be my way to make sure that never happens again. So then when I'm given the opportunity to do self-defense, I'm like, this is the way, right? And in a safe place. So now people on top of me or people trying to put me in positions, they're here to help me, not hurt me. Right. So I would say that's probably the most transformative moment was when I decided to leave. But if I didn't have a support system knowing I could leave too, I probably wouldn't have. So it all comes full circle. But I agree with you that was the third thing that came to mind. Because if I hadn't done the kickboxing class, I wouldn't have done Krav Maga, and I wouldn't have met my husband, and I wouldn't have my daughter today. So, wow. Full circle.
Amazing.
So, I have so many things I want to say.
Sorry if that was heavy.
No, it's so interesting to me when the person I see sitting in front of me, right, wearing the warrior T-shirt, like the warrior fit, literally wearing on your arm, like the women of Marvel, like so this, cool. Like all these like badass superheroes, like to hear that where you came from, like I know that you embody this. I know that you embody this warrior mentality, and I see you intentionally getting stronger in the gym, intentionally getting stronger. And to know that is something that started at such a young age and started from a mental perspective is really interesting to me. And it goes back to what I said a minute ago, like people respond to who you are, right? And when I see the people that you coach, because I'm always in the room when you're doing your coaching, like I see them responding to you because they can tell this is who you are. It's not an act. It's impossible. I was said to Ryan before the podcast, I was like, she brings a good energy every single time she comes in the door, and it's impossible to always be having a good day.
Oh,
but
good.
you,
Okay.
and I'm sure there's days when you're not, but like you are this warrior, this strong person, and I mean, there's no doubt now that we hear this story.
Right.
I mean, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I agree, and you know the there's purpose there, right? And in all those ways, there's purpose. You know, you joining the kickboxing class, and then the Krav Maga, and then like transitioning that, and then you mentioned kind of like leaving the desk job and all that. You know, it's all backed behind some semblance of meaning and purpose, and we've had discussions on that in the past, and how important is that to cultivate some essence of passion and meaning for change. I mean, even when you're talking about like the nutrition stuff, you kept saying, well, you can't really eat poorly because then your session tomorrow, like in the gym or whatever, is gonna be awful. And it's true. It's like people need reasons why they act the way they do. They need their own, like, I guess the way that I put it sometimes is they need their own personal philosophy on how they approach nutrition or movement, or just the mental piece of all of this. And so I guess I'm kind of curious, like how did you navigate some of the, I guess the nerves and the anxiety that come with like starting that first class or making a big change? And I know you mentioned like therapy, which I think is awesome, because a lot of people don't get the time to reflect on some of those thoughts. Like toss these thoughts out there and say, hey, are these actually making sense, or do I run with these or no? And so to have that space is really helpful for a lot of people. But I guess in terms of like how you manage that specifically, either with practices or just like, I don't know if you do journaling or like other way, or maybe it's just like talking with friends, like how do you manage that so that you can do the hard things?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the hard things now, or how I take them on, are a little bit more different. And I do have a great group of friends, and they're very level-headed, and they come from different backgrounds and have different professions. So I think that plays a huge part into it, right? So I have friends that are in the corporate world, so they can help me with corporate-like, career questions and things of that nature, right? Challenges. So they can help me in that way. But then I have some friends who grew up similar to I did, and they had their own experiences and paths that they got out of the mud, right? So it does look different now, especially being a mother. When I come with those challenges, I've got other mom friends, but essentially I just knew what I didn't want. And that is more so my drive than what I do want. Changing a little bit now, but especially when I was younger, trying new things, getting certified in this, that, the other thing, always wanting to learn, is because I know what I don't want. I personally feel, especially when you grow up with addiction in your family and mental health that's not cared for or not taken seriously, you can go one of two ways. You can go down that same path and keep the cycle going, or you can learn from it in a sense of what you don't want. And you can say, well, how do I change it? What are the people doing that I look at now and I say, oh, actually the one who was in sports they might have had a stable home, or if they were able to go off to college and X, Y, Z. I know now that everyone has their own troubles and they're going to view it differently and deal with it differently. But ultimately, I want to be like them. So what did they do? Did they learn more? Oh, yeah, okay, so maybe I should keep learning. Did they decide to take care of themselves? Okay, maybe I should do that. Did they surround themselves with more positive people? Oh, okay, maybe I should do that, instead of looking at them as a different breed. So that's how I try to do it now, is just, what don't I want? What do I want to give my daughter? Because now it's my turn. Like, oh shit, we gotta really put this best foot forward, because it's not just me anymore. It's her future. So that's probably what, learning from others' mistakes, learning from my own mistakes, and setting the pathway for my daughter. It's probably the biggest driving points right now.
Nice.
Well, I see no issues with this because you clearly lead by example. So just keep doing that.
Oh, I do.
From what so I want to flip gears a little bit. I'm interested in I know that you have a love for Marvel, which I'm a total Marvel nerd, as everybody knows. And I want to talk about. I want to use the joke. I never even heard it until today.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're a chicken tender. I'm sorry. That's not fair. The fact that you own and raise chickens. So one or the other. You want to talk about Marvel or how you got into raising chickens?
We can go chickens first because Marvel kind of wraps up into that same stuff. So.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah. I've been doing the whole chicken bit for like 10 years-ish.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for a lot longer than people realize. It started actually because my ex-boyfriend's mother was like, I want to get some chickens. And I was like, what a weirdo. Right? Again, something that's different is all of a sudden bad.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of ended up going over there and helping her out. And I'm like, they're actually kind of great pets. Before that, it was like cats and dogs, you know. So I'm like, they're actually really great pets. And it's one of those things you don't realize that you'll get addicted to until you're there. Like chicken math is definitely a thing. They just say when you start out with 1 or 2 chickens, then you have 40. And you have no idea how that happened. So it happened that way. Him and I had chickens off and on. We had ducks a couple of times. And then, you know, we parted ways. And I met my husband, as I told you guys, at the kickboxing gym. You know, we move in together, do the whole bit. And then we're looking for a house. We were in his apartment. And I said, well, there's 2 must-haves. We must have at least 2 bathrooms because sharing a bathroom sucks. Especially with women. And, you know, I'm like, we have to have 2 bathrooms and chickens. We have to have a big enough yard so we can have chickens.
Right.
And he's like, what? I just want to get a hot tub. Like, what do you mean? He's like, I want a roof and a hot tub. So I knew I had wanted chickens from just the past experience, them being great pets. They're super easy to take care of. And yeah, so then we bought our first 6. You have to buy 6 at a time when you go to buy them the first time. So local pet shop down the street, I bought my first 6. And he's like, okay, like I can get in with this too, kind of bit. He's like, wow, they really are kind of like dogs. They come when they call, they love food, you know, they'll be all over the place. They have literally minds of their own, different personalities. It's real fun. So we started out with our first 6, and then we lost 5 out of those 6, just attacks or deaths and stuff. Yeah. So 2 years ago now, I had said, can we get, actually, it was him. He had said, oh, are you going to get more chickens this spring? And I was like, oh, I thought you wanted to be done. I will certainly get more chickens. And I asked him how many, and he said, well, however many you want. You can't do that to me. You cannot do that to me. So I'm like, do you want me to keep it with, you know, just replace the 6 that we have? So you want me to just try to buy 5? Do you want me? And he's like, get however many you want. So we end up with 12. Oops. You left me to my own device. I mean, it's not my fault. So we ended up with 12, and he built this amazing coop. And I started seeing, I think just on my algorithm, people would just pop up with chickens and farming, and it's a whole community on Instagram. And I'm like, well, if they can do it, why can't I do it? Yeah. So now I have an Instagram page for just my chickens.
Oh, nice.
So what's it called?
We are Clucking Queens. It couldn't be something boring like, oh, chickens are fun. You know, I had to put some sort of spin on it. And now the coop is marvelous. Nice. You know, we're getting into gardening, all that. And last summer, someone needed to rehome some chickens. So I'm like, okay, you know, she said, I'll give you 2. She came over to the house with 4. So nice. Now we are up to 16 chickens from the original 6 that we started with. Yeah. 1 we still have that 1. So she's about to turn, I think, 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long do they typically live?
Different breeds are different, like a dog. Yeah. You know, they are different, but typically between like 7 to 8. They might stop laying eggs around like 4 or 5, depending on the breed. But I've seen some chickens that live to be like 12.
Wow.
So she might be my one.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't even know there were different breeds of chickens.
There
I
are
guess that
the-
makes sense.
different
Right.
color eggs and everything too. Like, so now I get green eggs, I get blue eggs, I get white, I get like dark color, speckled. Oh yeah, it's literally a whole community. It's great.
Yeah, I didn't know about chicken math. I didn't know about chicken breeds.
Chicken jokes.
Chicken
you know?
jokes, yes.
Tendies.
The chicken tender thing is I'm gonna use again, and not with.
Just don't
not-
send me another meme about it because I can't take any of it.
I'll try to keep it to just using it with kids.
Yeah.
But I'll probably use it with adults. All right, so talk about Marvel. I'm interested. How did you become a fan? What was it?
Well, it started. My dad was obsessed with comic books. So, I mean, being an addict, he went to rehab, and he's tried the whole bit. So when he wasn't drinking, it was something else, right? Usually, an addict will find something else to sort of hang on to, and his happened to be comic books. I don't know why or where that came from, but when I tell you he was obsessed with them, he was obsessed with them. It was, they all had their paperback lining. You could only open them so much because you'll break the binding. The carbon boxes, huge closet full. I mean, it was DC, it was Marvel, it was anything and everything under the sun. If it came in comic book version, he had it. His main favorite character was always Superman, though. Always Superman. But he would have a mix of Marvel and other comics. So I grew up around that anyway. Action figures, like superhero thing was his thing. So that was always part of my history, no matter what. And being a 90s kid, so was WWE or WWF, whatever, was F, now E. So then I was seeing like China and, all these, the Hardy Boys, and like I just loved that. Yeah. So especially being surrounded by women who weren't strong. And then I put on the TV and you're like, oh, this is a whole new world, right? And especially like China, she was a favorite in the house. So that transitioned, I think, to superheroes just so easily, right? Because then Marvel started coming out with a lot of their stuff, come out with Iron Man, and it just caught me. It's just always have. And like most things, when you have a niche of something, you tend to follow more in line with that. So then you get to talking about this, that, the other thing, and it's like all the nerds just like come together. But I really started getting obsessed with Marvel more so when they started introducing the females again. And that's why I have all the just female characters on my arm, because it was almost as I'm developing as this like warrior too, those movies start coming out a lot too. You're seeing like Black Widow, she's sexy, she's got that fire, but she will kick your ass, and you have no idea. So I started to cling to that a lot, and then they start coming out with more. You've got like Gamora, and the whole background with that, it just really started to set in. So as I was developing, they're also coming out with these fantastic movies and these great women to represent on both ends of the spectrum. They're sexy and they can kill you, essentially, like they're a hidden weapon, and they're smart, but they're also like tender in certain ways. So they had, and they still have, like what I aspire to be, strong and confident, but also still being able to be like feminine and gentle. So that's, yeah. And then the storyline, if you're into it, it's a whole universe by itself. And they just keep coming out with great stuff. DC, I do give a shot to. I will give it a shot. But it doesn't speak to me the same way. I don't know. Even Wonder Woman, doesn't really. She as herself as a figure, as the comics, yes. But the Wonder Woman movies, not so much.
I happened to read an article relatively recently that talked about the two studios, Marvel and DC, and they made a very conscious decision. Marvel made a very conscious decision to go with this like bright, light, upbeat, funny humor, and DC made a very conscious decision to go kind of this dark, like deeper. And in my opinion, one worked, one didn't. I think Marvel clearly outshines the rest with the way that they did it, and they brought in wittiness and humor, and then the other way just didn't seem to work as well, at least for me.
Yeah, and it's something that brings my husband and I closer too. So, because we met, I think, right around the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie came out, And he's like, oh, I'm a nerd. And I was like, oh, I'm a nerd too. And like, so kickboxing was the start. And then we discovered this together. So it's kind of like also in our family now.
Sick.
You know? Yeah.
So which character is your favorite? Which is the best movie?
My favorite character is Gamora. But my favorite movie, that is I actually really love Doctor Strange. I don't know if it's the colors or I just love that movie. But the ones that get me the most definitely have to be Infinity War and Endgame, because I was just sobbing in the theaters on those. Like, and we watched Endgame the first time. Mind you, we don't watch previews. That's our thing now, is that we do not watch any trailers or previews that come out. So we're completely surprised. And it just makes our movie experience all that much better. So when we saw Infinity War, I was not ready. I was not ready at all. And I felt like I lost friends. Like I really felt, over 10 plus years of being so involved in these movies. Yeah. So those two definitely get the most emotion out of me. But I would say to like top it all off, I don't know. That's a really hard one. That's a really hard decision because I love them all and I'll rewatch them all.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. So in kind of light of that, like these are like role models for you, and now you serve as a role model to everyone that you coach in some ways, and of course MJ, always speaking so highly of how you interact with clients and whatnot. But for those who are, I mean, maybe even like women specifically, I mean, maybe the first question is centric to that, but what's some good advice for someone who might need a change, who might need to kind of like take care of themselves, who might have grown up in like this, background that wasn't exactly serving to them? I mean, where do they start?
That is a tough question.
Yeah, I know.
I know, he says. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Go.
Well, I knew it was coming, so. Where to start? Well, there's the mental side of it, of self-reflecting, right? Of to really like, what do you want? What is your why? I think would be probably the first question that I would ask somebody. Ultimately, what do you want? But why? Right? Like if you're going to say, oh, to lose weight, that's not good enough for me. Like I know it's not just to lose weight. It's not just that number on the scale. It's not just how you fit in your clothes. It is so much deeper than that. So I would tell them to hopefully take a minute to self-reflect, or let me guide you through it, right? Like if you can't come up with that, or you can't sit by yourself and self-reflect, I'll help you. So let's kind of like dig a little bit deeper. And that's uncomfortable. That's obviously very uncomfortable. I've had so many clients in tears because of it, but that's your true why. If you can get emotional like that, that's, I don't know what you want to call it, your soul, your deepest of thoughts, but that's what is really pulling you towards what you're looking for, whether it's strength or weight loss, I don't care. But so that needs to be in the foundation first. Your why needs to be strong enough, not just because you read an article. It's usually a health scare. It's usually some sort of like trauma, or, it's something that's really deep. And then the first step, you just have to do it. And I know that's kind of like a little Nike. I think you guys just covered that of like, well, it's not that easy. I know it's not. But also not doing the thing, not going for a walk. I'm not saying you have to jump into a kickboxing class. Right. You don't have to completely clear your pantry in order to eat healthy. You just got to do one thing. Like, just go for a walk. Try a new class. Meet up with someone for coffee that you might find inspirational or something. Like, choose the apple over the chips. Like, just do this one thing and let it snowball. Get up 10 minutes earlier. Walk on the treadmill if you have to. Do some jumping jacks in your bedroom. You don't have to have money. You don't have to have all the resources. You just have to do it. You have to take that next step, because staying where you are is going to keep you where you are.
Yeah, doing the same actions. Yeah, the emphasis on actions is really important. It has to be, you can have all the thoughts, all the great thoughts in the world, but if it's not made real with action, even something so small, then it's not, nothing's going to change. And kind of interesting where you're talking a lot about like developing a vision, but I guess you could do, someone could do kind of like what you did and develop more of like an anti-vision. Where don't I want to be, right? If I can't figure out like where I want to be, which is a hard question. I mean, I think about that sometimes. I don't know if I've ever had a super clear vision. I could just, I kind of feel my way through life essentially. But I certainly have a strong anti-vision. I know where I don't want to be, and if I can run the exact opposite way from there, then maybe that's the best way forward. But that seems to be what you did.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I never saw it that way, but yeah, definitely. Because in truth, I wouldn't know what I have wanted, right? I'm 1,000% different than what I was shown to be, right? It was negative in my lies to like be stable. Something must be wrong, or they must have cheated to get there, or it's because they're hiding something. There was always a but if someone was happy and healthy. So yeah, I never would have known what I wanted, but I knew what I didn't want. So that's a really good point. So yeah, I guess I changed that a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't sit down what you do want, sit down what you don't want.
Both. Yeah, both.
Yeah, or a little bit of both.
I think you guys both go back. I love how this emphasis on action, right? And when we talked about the Kairos moments, the number one, there was 4 aspects to how to invite Kairos into your life, right? And one of them was to truly be ready, and the other one was to actually take action and do these certain things. There was 2 more in there. We've already discussed, but you guys both hit home on those 2. And I think that when someone's making this decision to come work with you or come talk to you, they're in a sense inviting in Kairos, right? They want a transformative moment. They want to be that person laying on the floor at the end of the kickboxing class. They want to be the person stepping out of the shower realizing, I've had enough. But to put yourself out of your comfort zone and to go and make it happen is hard, but knowing there's people out there like you that can guide them, that are willing to work with them, and that have overcome these challenges that maybe they haven't faced specifically, but knowing you're sitting down with someone that has overcome a lot of things, for me, is very important, right? I think that when we see people, or when I see people like you, or see people in the gym that are just jacked, you're like, wow, man, they must have always been this way.
Yeah.
Right? Like Jason, right? Jason, our friend Jason Caldas, like, dude's jacked. And you just assume that he's always been that way, right? But then you hear a story about how he hurt himself and had to overcome and persevere. And you're like, wow, okay, I can do that. It's not just that you've always been this way.
Which is funny because I've actually never opened up this much about it before. So a lot of my clients might be like, what? Like they don't even know because they meet me as who I am now. And, I'll say like I've had challenges or something, or if something comes up, I can kind of hint toward things. But I've never actually said it because I don't also want to be like, oh, feel bad for me. I don't want people to spin it that way. But yeah, I try to just, if I'm put in the mud, I try to make flowers where I can. That's all. It's what are you going to do? Because no one's coming to save you. I know, like, I listen to a lot of that for podcasts, and it's true. No one, and truth be told, I experienced it myself. No one really is going to come save you. Doesn't matter if you're screaming or if you're, trying to get in shape or whatever, you have to save you. And there's people that will help you do it, but they can't do it for you. You ultimately have to do it.
Right. You have to ask for help. No one's going to like butt in. I think we just had a conversation where we talked a little bit more on that topic. Like, no one's coming to save you. I don't think it's out yet, though. I can't remember. But yeah, so
preview.
Yeah, a little preview. Ruined the experience, ruined the podcast experience. I find that thought particularly compelling. That was like one of my kind of like Kairos and transformative moments. Just like having that, recognizing that, and that wasn't from any other ancillary source. I mean, I think I thought I had thunked that thought when I was like 14. I hadn't heard that from somewhere, but it was true. It was true that no one's going to step in and get into your business, but it's not their task. They shouldn't.
Right.
Even if they did, even if they said, hey, like your mom comes and steps into that relationship, you probably wouldn't have listened because it's your task. It's your task to manage. But if you call her and say, hey, I need help, then of course, then that becomes a task that she can help manage. So,
right. And there has to be that level of readiness.
Right.
Because my friends did try, right? They can tell when bad news is bad news. And people can try to tell you, hey, this one thing is not serving you well, no matter what that is. But it doesn't matter. You have to know it's not serving you, or you have to be a little bit ready, even if you know it or not. But something will click. If you're really not happy, if your body's really in this bad place, something will click. It's whether you listen to that or not.
Yeah, you guys, it's so funny. You just keep talking. It's like Kairos is like circling around. And like, that's what you need. You need
Catch him.
Yeah, like he's there. He's there. And you guys, we've all experienced them. So now we can start to help people understand. So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing now.
Okay.
I just saw I think it'll probably be over by the time this podcast comes out, but I know that you're doing a thoracic or pelvic floor
Yes.
Seminar.
Yes. So in the mix of all of that, kickboxing and learning weightlifting as a certified, a client came to me and said, hey, I want to be my strongest before I start to conceive, before I start a family. And I was like, I don't know what that's like. I just got certified maybe a year ago, like in training at all. And so then it got me to look into, okay, here's this challenge. How can I meet that? And I found that there are certifications out there for deep core, pelvic floor, and for prenatal, postnatal training, but you have to go find it. It is not like I didn't learn that when I got certified. I didn't know about that when I started kickboxing. So then I had to go find it. And I'm like, this is an entire world by itself. How the hormones change, how the body changes. And it's just not a resource that is out there. If I had to go dig for it, how is the average woman who's not participating in fitness already going to find it?
Right.
So that spark, that was it. I was like, okay, this is a way I can reach more than just women who want to maybe lose weight or to get a little bit stronger. Now they can get stronger, recover better, teach their kids to recover, better, and to tune into their body. So I got certified in that, helped her throughout her entire pregnancy, throughout her delivery. And then once you help one, then the rest in that niche come following. And that was just like, oh, wow, I love this. Not only am I helping someone change their life, but they're changing their life as they grow a life. Like, how amazing is that? And there's a lot of stigma around being pregnant, right? And so it's kind of breaking its own generational or, what have you, societal like curses on it, because it was mostly just put your feet up and stay still. That's quite opposite the case. Or like, oh, once you have kids, now you're going to pee when you sneeze. Deal with it. Like that's what it was. And that's not the case. So that's why I'm like, I gotta spread this word. If I can change other people's lives just by helping them eat better and move better, I could change the lives of these women throughout almost every stage. So that really catalyzed that. All it took was one client, and I was like, okay, I guess another transformative moment.
Yeah, I love it.
And so then I helped quite a few clients. I went through it myself, so then I could speak on that. Worked out throughout my entire pregnancy. It's funny, I actually went to my 6-week follow-up after having my daughter, and my OB, she was great. I did a midwife program and stuff, but she was like, okay, just don't do crunches or planks for a little while. And so I'm like, well, I'm certified in that. Can I do those exercises? And she just looked at me like, well, you probably know more than I do, so sure. And I'm like, that's so wrong. Like, here's our medical professional saying, yeah, but you probably know more than I do.
Right.
And so that's what we have. That's as females, that's who we're going to go to for a resource. And all they say is, well, just don't do crunches.
Yeah.
Hope for the best.
Great advice.
And I'm like, you were great this entire process and answered all my questions, but now you kind of just dropped the ball here when it comes to recovery,
Sure.
right? Because they're there to monitor you throughout your own your pregnancy and your child. But when it comes to your recovery, they're like, oh, well, we served you for the 9 months.
Right.
Move along, you know. So it's definitely a huge gap in our system for sure. It's not their fault. You know,
Sure.
it's what they're told or not told. So it just led me more towards like, yeah, okay, I got to spread this word. So now I'm hosting a seminar and trying to do things virtually because, yeah, if they've got kids at home, they can't take out an hour or an hour and a half of their day. But it's little stuff. It's just even the knowledge to know that you don't have to just deal with it. So I've been doing that for a while. And now this summer, of course, too, because the more people I reach, the more women I reach, the classes that I teach. Now, a lot of these women are coming to me perimenopausal or going through menopause, right? And I know how hormones kind of work and stuff, but I don't know that specific area. I can do my research, but it's not quite as thorough as, say, like a certificate or learning would be or program would be. So in June, that's my next plan, is to get certified in menopausal, like wellness, we'll call it, but nutrition and training.
Awesome.
So,
Nice.
yeah.
Amazing.
So every stage of life, because it is more so, oh, just deal with it.
Right.
You know, especially if you go to your medical professionals. Well, you're 50 now, so
Yeah.
might as well start digging, you know? Like, that's how it's viewed. I'm sure for men too, but I can only speak,
Right.
you know, more so for women's health because, you know, that's what they're told. So.
Well, I mean, it's an important health concept and really important for people to understand that, you know, healthcare as we know it is to treat issues, right? It's not to prevent them. It's not to, like, you know, feel your best, right? People don't, I mean, and it's not to say that you won't run into the one-off provider that really does want to show you that as well because they really care or they're not burnt out yet or whatever it is. But it is important for people to know that, yeah, I mean, you're not going to get that advice from a doctor. You know, insurance is not going to cover that. So to reach out to these people who, you know, do a little bit more research and who have had the experience, right? We were talking about something the other day about, we were talking about something the other day as how even just consulting with someone who has conversations with people, many conversations with people experiencing the same thing is so valuable. You know, like your OB, for example, never had conversations on, you know, the pelvic floor kind of training. So why would they know? You know, it's not relevant to them. They don't really, you know, care too much. It's just not fascinating or whatever it is. But, you know, speaking with a coach or someone who's certified, who's seen this 2,000 times, I mean, that's so valuable. And so to seek those people out is very helpful for us.
Yeah.
So tell everybody where they find you. And we heard what we are clucking queens.
Oh, yeah.
Right? If you're interested in being a chicken tender, I knew I was going to use it again. And then, but as far as the fitness is concerned, tell everybody, we'll put your handle down there, but tell everybody what it is, how to find you, where you're local, whatever you want to tell the people. And then make it real awesome and look right at that camera.
Hi, camera. So my Instagram is mostly where I post. I'm a little bit on Facebook, but not so much. But it's Courtney_warrior_. It's 2 underscores in there. And the We Are Clucking Queens, there's an underscore between each of them. And that's just more so if you're in the chicken community, hey. But also if you want to know about chickens. And then if you just want some humor, a lot of the times I will just be like, oh, the chickens are trying to get in the house again, or they're in the neighbor's yard and I'm yelling at them. Like, it's entertaining, to say the least. And I mostly work virtually when it comes to like training and nutrition coaching. That's going to be more so virtually, but then I do also coach group classes in Lakeville, so in Millennium Fitness. Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for opening up. Thank you for showing what it means to really, truly build strength. And I think that's what I got out of today. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
I'm so excited to be on here.
Yeah, awesome. Likewise. Yeah, appreciate it so much. And yeah, if you want to check out more of these conversations, just follow us on Spotify. If you have topics that you'd like us to talk about or you want to be a guest, just reach out. But we will catch you next time. Thanks.